He said, you want to fight Muay Thai? And I said, yeah, I'll fight him. I thought that was his name. So then I realized I can actually hit for real. Everybody was going crazy. The audience, it must have been 5,000 people screaming and yelling and could not believe. And they all looked down at me and they
Really?
said, so they looked at me saying, okay, you'll be the sacrifice lamb. You will fight lemons. A way of life means the moment, what do you tell yourself when you get up in the morning? A lot of people get up and say, oh my God, another day, how am I going to get through it? La, 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 la. So whatever comes out of your mouth when you get up in the morning is what your body is taking on. In my mind, I figured if they hit me, they will break me in half.
Oh, yeah.
So I became even faster.
Positive, aggressive, or
Just physically
Physically,
aggressive.
physically.
Mentally aggressive.
Okay. Hallo Leute, ich habe für euch heute einen ganz besonderen Gast, Benny the Jet Urquidez. Ich bin happy, dass heute hier bei mir ist. Hello, I have a very, very special guest for you today, Benny the Jet Urquidez. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you. Benny the Jet. We cannot talk about your whole life. That would be too much.
True.
So, a few parts of your life. Let's start with the story everybody wants to know. I want to know. How do you became by the jet?
You know, I was, well, let me start in the beginning. In the beginning, I wasn't the jet, but I was just a good fighter.
Oh.
So to start, I can actually, from the time I was 3 years old, I had boxing gloves where other kids had fire trucks. And so my father was a professional boxer, okay, and my mother was a professional wrestler. So in the family, we were always competing against one another, and what better training to get better than who know me better than anybody, which would be my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So the training was intense, even when I was young, because at the time of 5 years old, I was already boxing Pee Wee division at 5 years old.
Yeah.
Myself, my other brothers were already boxing. So you're talking about, I was competing in 58, boxing Pee Wee division. And then in 60, I started judo. And because my older brother wanted to try something different. So he started judo, and so we kind of followed. And we kind of followed him, and so he went to judo, we went all judo, so we were still boxing and then doing judo. And judo and boxing was very big back in the 50s and early 60s. So I started 60 in judo.
And you started judo because your brother was then better than you, because you were just boxing and he was. Was it something that, oh, I want to do it, I want to learn it? Was it about this?
I was wondering what he was doing that was so different.
Yeah.
And just the way he moved. And so a lot of us said, okay, we'll do what he's doing. So we all started judo. And even though we were still boxing, we started doing judo. And it was kind of familiar because my mother wrestled. And so she would see us doing flipping, throwing, and she would look at it and she would say, look at this technique.
Yeah.
And so my mom would show us some wrestling technique.
Oh, great.
And so between
it was show for your mom, but the techniques worked.
They were real.
Ah, okay.
They were real, very powerful technique. Because remember, the wrestling back then, it was not fake. When they hit, they hit.
Really?
And you're talking about, can you imagine, from the top of the ring is already 5 feet in.
Yeah.
From the mat is 5 feet up. From them grabbing you, you standing up from 5 feet, coming down is, like I'm 5'6". So me standing on top of the rope, that's 5 feet plus another 5 feet coming down on the mat, boom, and slamming. So the body was taking a lot of jarring, and so I thought, okay, the judo is good, and the wrestling was good, but the boxing, I like stand-up.
You liked it.
And then
that was your favorite still.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we started in 63 we started Kempo karate.
Okay, then you were 9 or 11.
So I was between boxing and wrestling, and then we started judo. I mean, we started Kempo karate. So when we started doing...
So was it the Ed Parker style?
Yes,
Ed
exactly.
Parker. Okay, okay.
And so we started Kempo, plus we were still doing judo, plus we were still boxing. And my oldest brother always used to tell us, stay away from that, stay strictly. So my brother, we started Kempo karate, and then my brother liked it Shotokan. He liked it hard style Japanese. So my oldest brother went to Kubota with Shotokan, and he started doing Shotokan, and that was him. He liked it.
And Kempo was not so hard?
No, Kempo was soft style.
Softer. So it was a soft style.
Yeah.
Although they have black suits and they look very
yes, but
hard.
see, back then, the Kempo back then were, because my brother decided to call our style, because we had hard styles and soft styles. So we call it Kempo Shotokan. So
it was a mixture.
Kempo with a soft style, Shotokan the hard style, but so we named it Kempo Shotokan. And in that, we were doing, I liked the soft style. There was about maybe 4 of us in the family liked soft, and the others like very hard. And so we did both, but I liked it more soft style. So I started to do Shotokan with Kubota with my oldest brother, and I was still doing Kempo with Birozaki, Kempo karate. And then I met Mr. Parker in 64.
You met him?
The first international. I was very young, the first internationals. And I thought to myself, okay, what are we doing here? So I was very physical. My family was very physical. So
all the whole family?
The whole family, very physical. So when we, Kempo in the Kempo art was very soft, very fast, but very soft. Me, I was very aggressive. All my family were very aggressive. So when we went to fight...
Positive aggressive or...
just physically aggressive.
Physically.
Mentally aggressive.
Okay.
And so the kids, when we would fight the kids, I already had boxing. So I already know how to hit the body and so forth. I wouldn't hit the face. I would do control to the face, but hitting the body. And so I would make all the kids cry. And so all the parents used to complain to Mr. Parker. I don't want my son to fight him. He's too aggressive, too mean. He doesn't know how to control. So Mr. Parker will come up to me and says, Benny, apologize. And I would go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit hard and this and that. I would not. And then after the lady would take her son and walk away, Mr. Parker looked at me and go, he gave me thumbs up. And so at the time, I didn't understand, should I hit hard? I shouldn't hit hard. I was just confused.
And was it about it's good that you apologized, or was it about it's good that you hit hard?
It was good that the reality is what I did works for real. Because that's what Parker was about, is the reality in the street. That's reality. So Mr. Parker liked that about me. He said, you have a heart like a warrior. It's real. But at the same time, because he was, that was his tournament, he had to make sure everybody, all the parents
okay.
was okay. So he
Yeah,
made
yeah.
sure, apologize to him and don't do that again. I go, okay. And
Okay.
so, but when I went to fight, back in the 60s, we fought on a hardwood floors and
Okay.
concrete on the
Okay.
floor.
Okay.
So there was no mat. There was no such thing
Was
as
it
mats.
allowed to throw?
Huh? No.
No, no,
No.
just stand up.
Yeah, stand up.
Okay, okay.
So, but we were allowed to sweep, take down to the ground, punch on the ground, stomp the ground, but you cannot throw.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but I was doing technique where I would sweep the legs and the legs would go in the air and their head and back hit the concrete. So I was doing a lot of different techniques. So it was good because it was reality, it was real. But still, back then, it was very brutal. The fighting back then,
Even the tournaments.
the tournaments, karate tournaments were very brutal.
Okay.
And when they grab, they strike, boom, all of a sudden you get, 5-6 stitches across the eyebrows and stuff, bleeding,
Yeah.
and you would be bowing and blood would be, but at the same time, that's the way the fighting was back in the 60s.
And everybody was the same, so it was no
Everybody
discussion about this.
There was no
Okay,
discussion.
yeah.
It was, all you did is, you get cut open, you would put some tape and close it and bow, and that's it. So, this is how I grew up. Very physical in the martial arts. And then,
And you already were fast at this time. Okay.
only because when I was very young, they always put me up because I was too aggressive.
Okay.
So when I was 5, they put me with the 8-year-olds. When I was 8, they put me with the 12-year-olds.
Okay.
Always the bigger because I was very
It was
aggressive.
good for you.
Yeah, it was perfect for me
Yeah.
because even though they hit me hard, I was able to hit hard. So I wasn't afraid to get hit.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Parker was teaching Elvis Presley. And so in 68, they wanted to put a team together, an Elvis Presley team together. So they got people to compete all over the United States. And the best, they will take, and then you will compete each other, and they will get the best out of that, and that will be the team.
And
so
was it they were looking for a fighting team or a show team?
it was a fighting team.
A fighting team. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Elvis Presley team was supposed to go to Holland and go to, let me see, what was it in Germany? In
Holland, Poland,
no,
Belgium.
it was right anyway.
Yeah.
England, and then it was I can't remember but it was just right
That's
outside
Europe.
of English.
Yeah.
So the 5 men, so there was 6 of us, and I was the smallest, and everybody was, and so we all was training together, and
there at this time were weight classes or no weight classes?
there's no weight class.
No weight class.
No.
Well,
So
it was hard for you because
not really.
no?
It was better for me.
Oh, really?
It was better for me because I was small, I was quick, and I was
okay.
able to get in, get out without getting hit.
Okay.
They were having a hard time because in my mind, I figured if they hit me, they would break me in half.
Oh, yeah.
So I became even faster.
Okay.
So they couldn't catch me.
Yeah.
And I was between their legs. I was everywhere.
Really.
So we ended up in Belgium. That's the one.
Belgium.
So we ended up in Belgium. So the Elvis Presley team, we fought against Belgium. So everybody is looking on the team saying, okay, who is going to fight Lemons? Lemons is the #1 guy in Belgium, but in the European, yes.
He's very famous still.
Very big, very
and,
strong.
Family and the kids of him are now famous. Gerd Lemons. Yeah. Okay.
So everybody was going to say, who is going to fight Lemons? And I said, I'll fight Lemons. And they all looked down at me, and they
Really?
said, so they looked at me saying, okay, you'll be the sacrifice lamb. You will fight Lemons, you will fight Lemons, and then he beats you, and then we can beat the rest. That's what they're thinking.
That's good. Yeah. So you don't win all the fights.
Yeah.
You are where the sacrifice then.
So we went to Belgium, and Lemons was the last. They put him for the last. So everybody was fighting first, and so they're wondering when am I going to fight, because they're all pointing at me, and everybody was fighting the team, and then Lemons came up, and then I got up, and everybody smiled like, oh my God,
Oh my God.
this little guy's going to fight.
Ooh.
And so I smiled and I looked at them and I bowed, and they win. They said right there, we got prepared to fight. But I was already boxing, so I already had boxing movements. And in the fight, so and I started to move like a boxer, moving around.
Yeah.
And he's, waiting for me.
Yeah.
Son, I chased him. I ran after him. I kicked him in the thigh, and he went down.
Really?
He went down.
Wow.
Once I kicked him in the thigh, he went down. So I went and I rubbed his legs. I'm rubbing, and everybody's laughing because I'm rubbing his leg because I didn't want it to end, and I wanted him to continue. So I rubbed his leg, and everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Parker said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't want it to stop." So we got again. We got up, and he came after me, and I'm too fast.
Was he angry after this?
I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't even care.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, all I know is he just came very after me, but he couldn't move quickly because I already knocked his thigh.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know about thigh kicking. I just happened to kick him.
You just did it. It was not your special technique. Oh.
Had nothing to do with it. I just kicked him. I just happened to kick him in the right place.
Yeah.
And he went down, and I knocked his leg.
Inside or outside?
Outside, the nerves.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then after that, so he didn't come after me fast because he was still a little knotted. And I'm moving very quickly. And so I did a jump, spinning back kick. I'm known for my jump kicks. I jumped up, I spun, kicked him, boom, chased him and this and that. So anyway, the crowd was going crazy.
Can you imagine?
Yelling and screaming because they couldn't believe.
Yeah.
They said, this little guy is doing that to you?
Yeah.
You're the hero of our country here, and you little, you're making us look.
Yeah, he was a hero at this time.
Yeah, and they said this little boy, that's what they used to go. This little boy is doing that to you, and what happened is you can see, if he would have grabbed me, he would have broke me in half. You can see. But I was just too fast for him. I was doing jump kick. I was doing things that he's never seen before.
Okay.
And he couldn't believe that I was so aggressive.
Yeah.
I was so aggressive that they couldn't believe it. And after that, I beat him. Okay. And when I beat him, they came and grabbed me and they picked me up and this and that. And I'm thinking, I didn't even know who he was. To me, it didn't even matter.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good that you didn't know who he was.
It didn't really matter to me who he was or what his name was. I didn't know he was the number one, in Belgium. I didn't know that, and I didn't care. All I know is I was excited to fight.
Yeah.
And so when it came to the fight, I already knew as boxing, I already knew the aggressiveness. I already knew what it felt like to get hit and stuff. So it didn't bother me to get hit. And I didn't care, who he was, this and that. But I knew if he would have grabbed me, man, he would have just split me in half.
How did he react after?
He couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it himself. Like, I was like a leech sucking on his blood. It was trying to get me off him, Grab him, boom, boom. And so anyway, I beat him.
Was he a good loser?
Huh?
You said, was he a good loser?
He was stunned. He couldn't believe. He was stunned. Like, exactly, pretty much. Like, what? This little kid, man, just beat me, and everybody was going crazy. The audience, there must have been 5,000 people screaming and yelling and could not believe. And, and his teammates are looking up at him like, what happened?
And your teammates?
They were
They said,
excited.
wow.
They were so
They
excited.
did not expect it.
They had no. They thought I was going to be the sacrifice lamb.
Yeah.
And so we beat the team 3-2. It was 3-2.
Okay.
You know, so
Because of you. 3-2. Yeah. And when you say Elvis Presley team, but got nothing to do with Elvis Presley. He was not there, or so.
Yeah, he was.
It was just a name. Oh.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was not fighting.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
Of course not.
yeah.
But he's the one that we put the team together for him, and then we from there we went, and I thought we were going to fight in England.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to England, but it was not for fighting. It was autograph, picture.
Okay.
I thought we were, you know, so I'm all pumped up, getting ready. I'm running in the morning, this and that, and I'm getting ready, you know, and we come in, all the pictures and so, and now I'm talking about fighting, this and that, and then looking at me, like, so my mates, my partners are saying, what are you talking about? I said, aren't we going to fight?
Yeah.
And he said, the fighting we just did. I said, I thought we were going to fight again.
Yeah,
and he said, they were saying, no, this is for interviews. So I never knew that world.
Okay.
You know, I just thought, no, where we go, I'm ready to fight, man, you know.
Yeah.
And so everybody started laughing, taking pictures, this and that. And I was telling my brother, that's it? We're not fighting no more? That's it?
Yeah.
And my brother said,
That's it.
you already beat the team.
Yeah.
You beat the number one team, yeah. What and I said, but we're not fighting no more? He said, no, that's it. So when we came back, it was a big celebration and such. But I thought to myself, okay. And then I started back at the National again in the 70s. And then I did in the tournament, there was this one guy, and he would always be there was a square, and we're in it, and we would go, and I would attack him, and he would put his foot right in the line, so he would punch me and get out of the line, and they would stop it. And I looked at him like,
yeah. He was not.
Fight me.
You were not allowed to hit him when his foot is outside. Okay.
so they would stop it.
Yeah.
So he would be right by and as soon as I would start to attack him to strike, he would put his hand out and step out of the line, and so they would give him a point for doing this and stepping out of the line, and they would stop me, and I said, this is not real. You know, and so finally...
It's not in the street, you cannot do this.
That's not gonna, So I didn't like that no more.
Your mindset was, does it work in the street?
So to me, I thought, okay, I decided, okay, I'm going to box professionally, forget this. So I got out of the martial arts and I started boxing with Bobby Chacon. They were the ones that were... I was getting Bobby Chacon ready for his title bouts because he already had the title. So I was his sparring partner and getting him ready for his titles.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my brother said, "Do you want to fight full contact karate?" And I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Full contact karate is karate to the knockout." And I said, "I won't get disqualified." and he said, "To the knockout, what don't you know?" And I said, "But I won't get disqualified." And he said, "What do you not understand?" Full contact means you are hitting for real. And I looked at him. I thought, okay. I said, I'll try. So we went to Hawaii. In '73, we went to Hawaii. And there was no weight divisions, no rules, no nothing, just elimination. If you and I stood next to each other, we would fight. Didn't matter how big, how heavy.
But at this time you were not in this Ed Parker team anymore.
No.
So you were on your own. You could do
family,
what you want.
with my family.
Okay, yeah.
So my younger brother and my brother-in-law and we went to Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we went there, and so I said, what rules are we fighting under? And they said, there is no rules. And I said, so I heard, and I want to say my brother told me, I heard they were hitting for real. And they said, yeah. And I said, and I won't get disqualified? And
You
they
couldn't
said-
believe it. You couldn't believe it. You couldn't
and
believe
yeah,
it.
and they said, no, this is to the knockout. I said, okay.
Okay.
So I was paired off with this one guy from Hawaii. And he must have been 200 pounds. And
200 pounds.
Yeah, and I'm weighing, I weigh 140 pounds.
Yeah.
And so, and he was like 6 feet and I'm 5'6". And so the bell rang, I chased him. Bam, 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 took him down, and I was over him like this, and my brother saying, strike him, and I like this. And I couldn't get it in my head that I can strike him on the ground. So I let him go, and I let him get up. Okay. So they're saying, what are you doing? I said,
he was on
well,
the ground.
he was, I wanted him to get up. And he said, you can strike on the ground, And I said, yeah, but...
Yes, you don't feel that you have to learn it.
So he got up, and I went out there, because I'm a really good boxer. I hit him in the body, I right hooked him, and I left cross, and he was down, out. And I said, they're going to disqualify me. And they raised my hand, and I said, oh, they didn't disqualify me.
Okay.
So then I realized I can actually hit for real. So that Saturday, I fought 7 times. Now I stopped 7 people. And then the next day I was supposed to fight 4 more times. And this was for the finals. And then I fought Bernice White, he's the Marine champion. 6'2", and he's ripped. And I thought, okay, I said, this guy's going to be a good challenge. And I went right after him, boom, 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 we fought. And then in the 3rd round, I stopped him. He was down. And my brother said, you can strike him when he's on the ground.
Okay, yeah.
And I just said,
Yeah.
I prefer him to, to be standing. So, but he was out. I stopped him. Hey, then after that, the next guy I fought, it was another Hawaiian. I stopped him. So then I see that my brother-in-law is going to fight Dana Goodson, which Dana Goodson is 6'3", 245 pounds. He's the Hawaiian favorite.
Okay.
And I just finished beating Bernice White, the Marine champion. And so I told my brother-in-law, I said, if you don't stop him, you're not going to win. He is the favorite.
Yeah.
Besides, they don't want to see you and me fight. They want to see David and Goliath. They want to see me fight him.
Yeah.
So I said, if you cannot stop him, you won't win. But see if you can hurt him for me. I said, we'll double team him.
Okay.
So my brother didn't win.
Oh, okay.
And so by decision.
Was it
my brother-in-law.
because he did you a favor, or the other guy was better?
They didn't want to see me fight my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to see me fight Dana.
Yeah, okay.
So Dana won. So now for the grand champion, it's Dana Goodson and me are fighting for the grand. So I said, okay. I'm looking up at him. I said, okay, this guy is very tall, and you can see he's very strong. And all of a sudden I said, all right. So he, in his mind, thought I was going to run from him. But when the bell rang, I ran right at him. I was jumped up, okay, boom, boom, boom. And his eyes were like this, trying to get me off him. I was striking and this and that, but he couldn't get me off him.
Yeah.
And so then after that, so what happened, he started elbowing me.
Oh.
Boom.
Even elbows were allowed?
There is
no
rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was he too slow, or why couldn't he?
He was quick, but I was too fast for him.
Yeah.
And so he tried, every time he tried to strike, and I already had boxing experience, so I already know how to slip, block, move.
Okay.
I already know how to get away from striking.
Yeah.
So he couldn't hit me. And everybody was going crazy.
Yeah.
After that, I stopped him. I stopped him in the 4th round, and I became the champion. So from 73, I was a World Series martial arts champion, all the way up until 75. And my brother saying, "You're the world champion." I said, "How can I be a world champion if I haven't fought outside the United States?"
Oh, yeah.
And so he said, "Oh, you want to fight? You want to fight out of the?" I said, "You want to call me world champion?" I said, "Yeah." So then 2 months later, he said, "You want to fight Muay Thai?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll fight him." I thought that was his name. You know,
Muay Thai.
Yeah, I said, "I'll fight him." Nobody ever heard of Muay Thai before. We never ever seen it.
Yeah.
It was unheard of.
Yeah.
So I see Ernest Hart was fighting he was the semi event, I was the main event. So he won, he got knocked out in the 3rd round by this other Thai champion.
Yeah.
So now my turn. So I come up and I get in the ring and I'm holding the ring and then he's doing his prayer.
Ah, okay.
I've never seen that before.
And what was in
It
your
was
mind?
different. Yeah, it was different. So I'm looking at
Is
him.
he dancing?
Yeah, I had no idea. So with the music, his music, and he's doing. So I started to, and so all the Thai people think I'm making fun of him.
Ah, oh.
So I'm doing this because I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's praying, and I didn't know he was praying.
Yeah.
But all the Thai people were upset,
Yeah.
angry. So then he comes and stimulates shooting an arrow at me, and I smile at him. I put thumbs up, and he was mad. Yeah, he was mad.
Yeah.
The bell rang, and he came after me. He came after me, and he kicked me in the thigh.
And they are
And my
very hard.
eyes bulged out because I never been kicked like that. I never had anybody try to break my legs like that. So when it hurt, I said, "Oh my God, that hurt it."
Yeah.
So now I'm a high jumper. So every time he went to kick, I would jump over his leg and side kick him, because I'm still doing martial arts, but kind of a mixture of boxing, martial arts, and finally, in the 9th round, with this Thai guy, I was ahead of points. I was beating them by points.
Yeah.
I was just too fast for this Thai guy. And then he clinched me and he would elbowing me. So I've never saw that. So I figured, "Oh, you want to fight?" To me, I thought that was dirty. You want to fight?
You want to fight dirty? Okay,
Yes,
I can fight dirty.
Yeah. So I told him, okay. To me, and I said, "Now I'm going to take you to the streets."
Okay.
Okay, now you want to fight like that? I said,
Okay.
"We're going to go in the streets and fight."
Yeah.
So every time he clinched me, I hit his body, I would pick him up and I would throw him on his head. Boom! I would try to break his neck. I'd try to boom, throw him. And I would go to stop him. He would turn around, he'd go like this, he'd come at me. He'd go to, and I move, I would grab him. And then suddenly I would throw him judo throws. And all the Thai people think I'm cheating because they've never seen that before.
Okay.
And then all the Americans think the Thai guy is cheating because they never seen elbows and knees.
Okay.
So the Americans think he's cheating, the Thais think I'm cheating, and so after that, in the 9th round, I went to sweep him, and he kicked me, and hit me here, and I went down. I jumped back up, and the Thai jumped up, and so Chuck Norris, my brother Arnold, they bet by the round. Who's going to win the round?
Okay.
Not who's going to win the fight.
Okay.
So by then, they were winning because they didn't know how to score. Thai,
Okay.
they didn't know how to score. But I was already beating this guy by points. Way high. So the Chuck Norris was telling the Thai, "Pay up." And the Thai jumped on the seat, went to elbow Chuck. Chuck went back and he slipped on some soda. And so he slipped. So they thought the Thai hit him, but he didn't hit him. He just slipped. He got up and the fight went up the arena. And it went around. Everybody was fighting everybody. To the whole arena. 10,000 people fighting each other all the way around the arena. Helicopters came, cops came,
Okay.
and
Oh,
so
really a big brawl or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like this.
So then the Thais went outside, started tipping cars over. They were angry.
Ooh.
So after that, they wanted to know in Japan, who is this American just finished beating the Thai champion? Who is this American? They knew nothing about me.
Yeah.
So they, 3 months later, they set something up between me and 4 other fighters to go to Japan as a 5-man team.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe and like. What was your idea because of the long trousers? You could have said, okay, it's kickboxing, but with shorts. Or
Martial arts is the art, okay, the art of warfare, of learning defense, self-defense. Man, I thought you were hurt out there. And I said, and I big smile. I didn't say anything, I just had a big smile. That's it.
And
It didn't matter if I won or lost.
Yeah.
All that matters, I just wanted to compete. The audience started saying, Jet, Jet, Jet. So then I started doing it, and I knocked out my opponent with a jump spinning back kick. But I was hitting shin on shin. I said, oh, that hurts. They wanted to know in Japan, who is this American just finished beating the Thai champion?
What was your idea because of the long trousers? You could have said, okay, it's kickboxing, but with shorts. Or
Martial arts is the art, okay, the art of warfare, of learning defense, self-defense.